Hey everybody, welcome back to Electric Cafe. This album review video is on the Cult's 1991 album Ceremony. So this was the band's fourth album under the Cult name. I guess their sixth album overall, or fifth, depending on if you consider Southern Death Cult or Death Cult albums as full albums. I think Dreamtime is more of is an album. Sometimes the Southern Cult album is I guess there's one or two. I forget. Anyways, this is the fourth Cult album. Um, Ceremony is I feel like is a little bit underrated in some aspects because everybody thinks it's kind of like a dud. Obviously, the Love album was great. I gave it an 85. This is the second time I'm reviewing a Cult album on my channel. Obviously, Love was a great album. Electric was really strong as well. Sonic Temple might be considered their best one. Pretty equal to Love on a different level, right? Some really strong songs on here. Strong songs on there. And then the band was at an all-time peak, right? I mean, touring, popularity, Sonic Temple, I think even went platinum. Like they were probably the biggest non heavy metal related rock bands of the late 80s. And I think probably their sound and their discography and them as a band is highly underrated in the grand scheme of rock music of the 80s, of the last 40 years. You know, um, the band was going through a lot of things after Sonic Temple. You know, relationships were getting strained. Probably a lot of drugs in there. Was becoming a little bit too much. A lot of pressure to write another hit, right? Have another hit album. Um, a lot of pressures, a lot of changes. Music was changing a lot. This album took a little bit to record. Also, the drama that went on with the cover of the album of them using this picture and getting sued for using this cover of this picture for their cover of the album without having their permission, the family's permission, who took this picture. So just a lot of stuff going on, and it pretty much was the kickstart of that whole period, 89, 90 to 91, 92, to then ended up sort of breaking up after the 94 album. And I really think the 94 album, self-titled Cult album, is really good as well in an underrated way. I think when you compare them to the old ones, I think this is what it is. When you compare them to the old ones, they're not as good. But if you just say you compare them to other hard rock albums or other hard rock bands, I think they're really good. Um, I think Ceremony and the Cult get a bad slack for just not being as good as the previous three albums, and I think that's really all it is. Um, when you look at the songs, um, it's got all the right equation for another big album, right? It's got when you think of like Sonic Temple, right? You think of the big songs, right? Firewoman, Sun King, right? Those are kind of like the main hits, right? Well, this one has Wild Hearted Son, Wonderland, If, Ceremony. Those are kind of almost on the level of Rain, Love Removal Machine, Wildflower, right? Those are kind of on the same level. Just as almost as good, almost as good. I'm not saying they're anywhere any I'm not saying they're at the level of like She Sells Sanctuary or Sun or Firewoman or what's the other song? Love Removal Machine. I'm not saying they're on the level, but they're like just under that level, almost to that level. Like they're really close. I think they're right there, you know. And then when you think of like the ballads, right, like Eddie Seal Baby or um, Brother Wolf and Sister Moon, or some of the more ballad songs. Well, you got really good ballad songs on here. Indian is really good. Sweet Salvation is not bad. Heart of Soul is not bad. You got some potentials on here that are just as good in that vein as like Eddie Co Baby, Eddie Chow Baby, whatever you said. Um, and then you think of like the more heavier songs, right? I think maybe that's where this album isn't quite there. Like when you compare them to the songs that are like Sonic Temple, like American Horse, or one of my favorites, Soul Asylum, or New York City, right? These ones aren't on that level when you think of the secondary heavier rock ones like Earth Mofo, Full Tilt. Those are kind of the weaker ones for me on the album. White's a good song. You know, I think going through the tracks, I got Ceremony at 3.25 stars. I got Wild Hearted Sun 3.5 stars. Earth Mofo 2.25 stars. White, good groove, good balance of rock and acoustic music. Maybe it goes on too long. It is around 8 minutes, but I got 3 stars. If 3 stars, strong song, piano, really nice. Full Tilt, If's 3 stars. Full Tilt 2 stars. Heart of Soul 2.5 stars. The chorus is good. Get hit before the hit gets to you. I like that. I like that part. I always think that when I hear that song and he says that, I always say that. Um, some of the things some of the things that he sings about, Ian, uh, it, Ian's the singer, right? I'm blanking on the singer's name. Is it Ian, right? Ian Ashtonbury. Um, some of when he kind of goes into these like southern sort of rock kind of cool like things he says is kind of unique. Like he says, uh, "Succumbing to the he dog sound." Like that's a that's pretty interesting. Uh, I find that kind of funny, unique, cool. Um, if you said that to somebody that see if they're succumb to the he dog sound, I think they would think you were some like hippie or something like that. Um, 2.5 stars for Heart of Soul. Bangkok Rain, 2.5 stars also. Indian, 3.25 stars. I like this one a lot better. Sweet Salvation, the album ends strong. Two and 3/4 stars for Sweet Salvation. And then Wonderland, 3.5 stars. One of the better guitar ones on here. That guitar is strong on Wonderland. That's where you succumb to the he dog sound when you hear that guitar. Um, the album is a long album. It's pushing 60 minutes. It's a long album. That might be, but Sonic Temple is 60 minutes too, and so is Love is pushing 60 minutes, I'm sure as well. But it's got all the ingredients for a good album. It's just a slight tier in every way under Love and Sonic Temple. I got 31.5 stars divided by 11, which is a really strong 2.86, which correlates to me giving the album a 68 out of 100. Really close to being a very good album. It's on the high side of a good album. I still think it's underrated, even though I'm saying it's just a good album. It's not very good, but I still think it's underrated in some respects. Um, there's some good songs on here. I think the middle towards the end, tracks 6, 7, 8, and maybe even 9, sort of put off people. I do like Indian, the song number 9. Heart of Soul has potential, but it does sort of sound like another rock band sort of trying to make a hit. Full Tilt doesn't doesn't do much for me. Bangkok Rain, it's a little bit better than Full Tilt, but it doesn't do a lot for me either. So I feel like songs 6 through 8 are kind of, and even Earth Mofo. There's the middle of the album is got some opportunities in it. Just from the song's perspective, but everything else, the sound, um, the singing, the quality of the instruments, the recording, everything like that. I think it's right on pace, and maybe even sounds better than sonically. It sounds better than Love. Sonically, it sounds better than Electric. And I'm not saying the songs are better. I'm just saying the album sounds better, fidelity wise, dynamically, produced better, engineered better. Than those. It's partly the technology of 1981 versus 1985 or 87. Maybe it's the budget, maybe it's the studio they were in or what have you. But it's a good sounding album. Just the songs aren't as good as previous albums. Pretty straightforward, but I think it's underrated for the time. I got 68 out of 100. All right, thanks a lot.